Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary Tim Wood.
Let's sit down and make an actual plan, and we have definitely got to factor in that retirement danger zone. I wish to God someone had sat down and done that with my dad. We wish we would have known about these things.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. You've got an 87% chance of success. Well, son, that's a 13% chance of failure.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
Welcome in to this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show alongside Tim Wood, the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. I'm Kevin McAlpin. Tim and I are happy to have you with us once again on the show. We hope you're having a wonderful day. More importantly, we hope you're staying cool during these dog days of summer. But we can't go any further without bringing in the star of the show, the man of the hour. And if you heard the show last week, the guy who very closely resembles Vanna White, he's Tim Wood. And Tim, it's a pleasure as always, my man. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing well. And I do not resemble Vanna White at all. That's just because I can hold a book and model it. Not even close.
Of course, the book is Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. You know a thing or two about that book, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Some guy named Tim wrote it, and it's not too bad. Y'all should get yourself a copy. It's going to help you out a lot.
Yeah, well, listen, if you want to get a copy of that book, stay tuned to the show. We're going to tell you how you can pick up a complimentary copy of the book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. And I think for a nominal fee, Mr. Tim Wood, he'll even autograph that book for you when you pick it up, right? Is that true?
Sure. Absolutely. If y'all want to pay me a fee, I'll make sure it's signed and I'll write whatever you want in it. How's that?
I've got my copy and it's inscribed. I love it. I do take a peek at it quite often. So again, stay tuned, especially if you're at or near retirement. You want to get a copy of that book. We'll tell you how to do that coming up here in just a little while. So Tim, let's dive into it, man, because there's a lot we want to get to on the show here today. And obviously, one thing that we have focused very heavily on is the fact that Social Security is facing a big time issue in just a few years. It's been 43 years since Congress really touched Social Security. And listen to this, in about 6 years, if that trust fund was to run dry, we could see benefits cut by 23% or even more. Now, I want to take you way back to 2005. Lawmakers had a chance to fix it. They could have raised taxes by just 2%. That would have funded the program for 75 years. But of course, they passed. 10 years later, in 2015, the fix jumped up to 3%, and yet again, nothing from Congress. Now, today, it's closer to 4%. We still haven't seen really any movement. So, Tim, while we talk about guaranteed income on this show all the time, Social Security feels like that paycheck in retirement. But if that paycheck was to shrink, let's talk about some other reliable income sources. And more importantly, how do you decide which one is right for each client you sit down with?
Well, and one of the things you said really stuck out to me, man, and that's if you are waiting on the politicians to fix things for you in your retirement, brother, that's a risk right there. That's a whole other risk that you and I have had shows where we talked about all the different kind of risks. We should add politician risk or something like that to seriously, if you're sitting around hoping that the politicians fix Social Security and your Social Security is not affected, that is a big risk. Yeah. I mean, that's something you really need to think about. And one of the things I do with people, and I've done with quite a few clients, is figure out, okay, if they do cut benefits, let's just say by a quarter, let's figure out what a quarter of your benefits in Social Security are right now and how much do we need to put in a plan in 2032 that we could turn on, that put in a plan now that in 2032, if we turn the income on, is going to pay you that 25% so you wouldn't notice a thing. Man, if you're waiting on Congress or some other politician to fix it, how's that working out for you so far? I mean, really, that's dangerous. So, yeah, you need to make a plan for yourself. You don't need to wait for Congress to fix it. You know, mommy's not coming to fix it for you. You got to take care of it yourself. Those benefit cuts are real, people. That's going to happen unless, you know, the good Lord intervenes and the politicians actually do something. Those benefits are going to cut. And those cuts are going to affect everybody, including you. If you are listening to this, it's going to either affect you now if you're getting social, or if you're like Kevin and I and you're still a few years away, it's going to affect us when we get to that age. So you need to make a plan. I know y'all hear me say that every single week. Make a plan, make a plan, make a plan. I'm sorry to keep beating a dead horse. Need to make a plan for that too. Again, that's one of the things we'll talk about when we're in the fact finder is what are we going to do if we look and you are razor thin and you're going to be just barely making it by with what we set for your income, and then that does go down by 20-something% in 6 years, what's the plan? What are we going to do? That's one thing. Again, everybody listening is exposed. Everybody's exposed to this risk. Everybody. Current people in the future, everybody's benefits will be cut if somebody doesn't fix it. Now, do I believe it will be fixed? I think they're going to keep building crutches.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep crutching it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're going to keep making it kind of like that. That's what the government does. It seems like they never really fix anything. They just keep plugging leaks, and instead of replacing the pool that needs replacing, they just keep plugging the leaks. Right. I think that's probably what they're going to do, and it may get a little closer to the day and people are going to be freaking out and someone's going to say, oh, well, here's a good stopgap we could do and this will buy us another 8 years. Okay, great. Well, I think that's probably realistically what's going to happen. But again, that's an awfully big risk. If you're counting on that and that's a main portion of your income and it could go down by 20%, what you going to do? Because inflation's not going away. 5-6 years from now, stuff's going to be even more expensive, people. And if you're going to wind up losing 20% plus of your income, what you going to do? We got to make a plan. We got to make sure you're ready for that. I really just think it's a wake-up call overall. I think people really need to realize Social Security is a great plan. I mean, I'm as conservative as I am. I think it's fantastic because most people retired in poverty before Social Security, and now they don't. Now, is it kind of a socialized plan? Sure. And I hear people say that they don't like any social programs. Okay, well, you can feel free to send me your Social Security check. Right. You can sign them over to me. I will take care of it for you, and then you don't have to take part of any social plans. Right. You know what I mean? Because that's all it is. And I also hear people say, well, I would never want an annuity. Well, guess what? When you start getting those Social Security checks, I want you just to sign that right over to me. My name's Tim Wood. I'll give you my address. You can just send them to me. Well, what do you mean? What do you think Social Security is, people? Yeah. It's a government-run annuity. The later you turn it on, the higher your payout's going to be, and it's going to be that for the rest of your life. Sound familiar? Same thing. The difference is the way it's funded. When we do one from you, we know what we're funding it with. We know how long it's going to pay, which is your lifetime or you and your spouse's lifetime. Or in some cases, even there's a certain, we don't even do lifetimes. We can do certain, it's what's called period certain ones. For example, I had a guy and he needed one that would pay just 10 years. It's a specific situation. Again, make a plan, individual. He had a situation where he needed a set payment for 10 years. A little different kind of plan, but still we put X dollars in and for 10 years it's going to pay you X, including this much interest. Great. But anyway, make a plan. For each person individually, make a plan to figure out what are you going to do. This is going to hit some people if they do not get the holes plugged. This is going to be huge. I mean, I don't even, there's not even words to say. I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know what to say and that's why I think that they probably will come up with some sort of a stopgap. Because this would be, I mean, people would be marching on Washington type thing. Yeah. If everyone's grandparents and parents all of a sudden couldn't buy gallons of milk and couldn't pay their mortgage, people would literally be by the hundreds of thousands marching on Washington. You know what I mean? And they're not going to want that. So that's why I think there's going to be some sort of a stopgap. But is it going to cover the whole thing? Or are they going to really fix it? I mean, who knows? I'm just saying the whole thing, relying on the government, man, that's a big risk. You may as well go to Vegas. And again, that's why we do annual reviews with every client. So if 8 years from now we need to call an audible, we do. and make those changes.
And of course, if you would like to learn more and you'd like to pick up a complimentary copy of Tim Wood's book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success, all you need to do is be one of our first 5 callers right now, 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233 or online anytime, safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com.
It's now time for our Safe Money Story of the Week. Visit safemoneystories.com to view more.
For this week's Safe Money Story of the Week, since we were just talking about Social Security, I actually want to talk about a couple that I worked with several years ago. Really great couple. Now, I'm not going to use exact numbers, but both of them actually had done relatively well in their working lives. The husband and wife both were going to get rough numbers about $30,000 a year in their Social Security when they retired, and they did. Together, $60,000 a year got them what they needed. So when we originally met, they both said, man, we're going to get $60,000 a year between the two of us. Our bills are only about, 45 or 50. I don't remember the exact number, something like that. We're good. We don't need anything. And I said, I hear what you're saying, but I want you to think of something. Are you 100% sure that you're set? Because what happens if one of y'all passes? Because then you're going to lose half of your Social Security. What's going to be your plan then? And they thought for a minute and they're like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. Again, let's make a plan. So we started a guaranteed lifetime income plan, but didn't turn it on. We got them into one of those that y'all have heard me talk about that has the guaranteed roll-up rate, a deferred guaranteed lifetime income plan. And thank the good Lord that we did. About 3 years later, unfortunately, the husband passed away, and he had the slightly larger Social Security. Now, she got his Social Security as the survivor benefit, but then she lost hers. So that dropped their income by close to $30,000. I think hers was like $28,700 or something, but close to $30,000 gone. Now, did their expenses go down a tiny little bit? Of course, because now you've only got one mouth to feed and, not as much of this and not as much of that. But before long, she was doing even more traveling than they were together. So, but I spoke to her recently in one of our annual reviews, and she literally in tears said, Tim, thank you so much for getting us to understand that we needed that income plan on top of Social Security. When one of the members of a couple dies, you do get whoever's got the higher Social Security, that's what the survivor gets. But that survivor then loses their Social Security. So you're taking a major pay cut. We need to plan for that. Thank God we did for them, because with that plan and her husband's Social Security, she's able to still have basically the same lifestyle, same guaranteed income, now with just the one Social Security and this guaranteed lifetime income annuity. So it worked out fantastic for her. Like I said, she literally was in tears on the phone, and that's one of the things I live for, Kevin. It's fantastic to be able to help people and then see the results of something like that years down the road, something that we planned for, as awful as it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, the situation's awful whenever you lose someone, a loved one, right? It's awful. But then if you compound that with the fact that now I'm only going to have half the income, now you've got emotional strain, spiritual strain, and financial strain. Let's make sure you don't have the financial strain, because you're still going to have the emotional and the spiritual. I can't help you with that. I wish I could. Can't help you with that. I can help you with the financial. Let's make a plan, people.
And if you'd like to learn more and get on his calendar with no cost, no obligation, you'd also like to pick up a complimentary copy of Tim's book, Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. It all starts with one phone call, 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233, or online at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we'll give you a couple of minutes to make that call, but don't go anywhere. We got a lot more to get to with Tim Wood on this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show, coming up right after this.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. You've heard me talk about Tim Wood, certified financial fiduciary and owner of Safe Money Retirement for a while now. But what I haven't told you is that he's also a retirement income certified professional. Now, why should you care? Well, maybe you have pre-tax and after-tax retirement accounts, and you need to know how that's going to work. Or maybe you still don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your monthly bills. Or maybe your entire savings is still exposed to risk. Listen, I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that his team can help you. I want you to write this down, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation, free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I don't trust just anyone. So do your own homework on Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and request a copy of his best-selling book. 800-913-SAFE. safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Get started today.
It is the Safe Money Retirement Show, and we are so happy to have you with us. Alongside Tim Wood, president, founder, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name's Kevin McAlpin. Thanks, as always, for being with us on the show, and we are glad to have you with us talking all things retirement, whether it's Social Security, streams of income, annuities, and so much more. Tim and his team are here to answer any questions you may have, and if you want to get on his calendar with no cost and no obligation, safemoneyretirement.com is the quickest and easiest way. Again, safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, obviously, I don't think it's a stretch to say it's been quite the run for the market here lately, and a big reason is earnings. But even when things look good, there's still a question kind of hiding underneath the surface. How much of that good news is already baked in? Well, here's investment officer David Bonson recently discussing it on Fox Business.
It was a wonderful earnings season, and yet I also believe that markets are looking ahead. There's the bad things that markets believe are going to be less bad in the future, and the good things, which are primarily about earnings and earnings growth, that have been outstanding. You still have to question valuations, though. I think that's the elephant in the room is, are these things just too priced in at this point?
All right, so obviously when markets are strong, earnings are delivering, but let's talk about how you can help clients stay grounded and not ignore risk, something that's sort of been a recurring theme on the show here this week.
You know, it is a challenge. When you are seeing all this growth and you're seeing everything seeming like it just keeps going and going and going, it is a challenge to want to take your money out of the market and do something safe with it. I get it. Mm-hmm. I totally get it. What I would say, there's a couple things. First of all, I would say, everyone listening, I want you to pull up the S&P from, let's just say, 1980 until now. What does it do? It goes up slowly and down quickly, and then up slowly and down quickly. Well, look at where we are. Just look at 2000 until now. Look at 2020 until now. Where are we at, people? We are at historic highs. The S&P 500 has been at historic highs. Things are going fantastic. Well, look at history. History always repeats itself. What happens after highs? Every single time in history, 100% of the time, what's the next thing?
That's got to go down at some point, right?
What goes up comes down.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. So that is the challenge. And the real challenge is this, is if some of these companies fail to meet the profit promises during these upcoming reporting seasons, who knows what's going to happen? You know, there's that, and then there's also all of the geopolitical things. There's so many things that affect the market, right? It's not just the earnings. It's not just all that stuff that you're thinking from the financial sector. There's so many other things, the stuff in Washington, the stuff geopolitically, the stuff health-wise. I mean, good Lord, I sure hope we don't ever have another one of those pandemics, but what did that do to the market? You know, there's so many things that could happen. You need to make sure you're prepared. Again, I swear I'm going to just put this on my little recording thing that says make a plan and just start pushing it.
The Staples button? Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to get one. I am. But make a plan. You know, and make a plan for that money that you absolutely know you've got to have in retirement. Because we don't know. I mean, right now, yes, things look fantastic. But what happens if, you know, those profits don't come back like they say they're going to? What happens with the midterms? Man, they're right around the corner. Mm-hmm. What happens if there's a blue wave? Or what happens if, you know, there's other things like are happening in certain states with certain things that, you know, that are, in my opinion, really bad? What are we going to do? That's going to have effects, people. All of this stuff is going to have effects on the market. And if you're still 100% at risk, you're still 100% at risk. That's a dangerous place to be in retirement. If you're still in your 20s or 30s, you still got plenty of time. There's nothing, yes, it's awful if you lose the money, but plenty of time to make it back. But if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, your time horizon isn't as long. And now we got to start talking about those pesky market math numbers that y'all hear me talk about sometimes. If you lose 30% in the market, you need between 42 and 43% to get back to where you were. You lose 50%, you need 100% to get back to where you were. So that's something you really need to think about. I mean, again, everything right now looks fantastic, and I totally get it. I get not wanting to get out of the market, and oh my goodness, I may lose some of the growth. You might, but we don't know when that cliff is. We don't know when we're going to go over that cliff. Things are not going to keep growing forever. That much I can tell you. That's all I can tell you with 100% certainty. It's not going to keep going up the rest of our lives. I think everyone listening can agree with me on that. So, what are you going to do to protect yourself? How much do you want to protect? Am I saying that you need to pull everything out of the market and protect 100%? No. You've never heard me say that. I'm saying we need to protect what you've got to have for your retirement. You still want to leave some money in your play account and play with it? Knock yourself out. It's your money. Do what you want with it. We just got to make sure you're protected in case those earnings don't come back, in case something happens in the midterm, in case there is another health crisis, in case there's a geopolitical event. There's so many things that could happen that affect the market. Make sure you're prepared because you don't want to lose 30, 50% or more, if there is a major market correction that most experts say is coming at some point. We just don't know when. None of the experts can tell you. That right there should be a red flag. If no one can tell you that this is what we do all day, every day, and we can't tell you why the market's up,
yeah,
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're prepared.
Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement, they are here to help. And if you want to get on his calendar with no cost and no obligation, it all starts with one call. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233 or online at safemoneyretirement.com. Again, that's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I'm glad you sort of referenced this a few moments ago about history and things repeating and what we can learn. Well, a financial reporter spent years studying the 1929 market crash, said a lot of the same warning signs are starting to show up today. Well, CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin is the author of 1929, Inside the Greatest Crash in Wall Street History, spoke to 60 Minutes about it here recently. Take a listen to this.
The crazy part about this is from 1928 to September of 1929, the stock market was up 90%.
When you say the stock market was way up,
right,
immediately I think of now. Are you scared?
I'm anxious. I'm anxious that we are at prices that may not feel sustainable. And what I don't know is we are either living through some kind of remarkable boom, and part of that's artificial intelligence and technology and all of that, or everything's overpriced.
Or we're reliving
1929.
All right, so let me ask you, Tim, when you do look almost 100 years back in the history books, do these parallels still matter, or is today's economy just so much completely different than where we were almost a century ago?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, things are totally different. I agree. 100% things are totally different, but in a way still the same as well. For those of you that have read my book, and y'all hear me say it every week, if you haven't, get a copy. I've got a whole section in my book called The Financial Harbinger. And in that section, I actually talk about the worst time financially for this country since we've basically been going, and that was the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. If you look back to the Great Depression, what are the companies that thrive? What are the industries that thrived during the worst financial time in history? Guess what one of them was, people? What we do. Mm-hmm. Life insurance companies absolutely thrived during the Great Depression, and those that had these guaranteed lifetime income annuities, which are issued by life insurance companies, are the ones that thrived. There's stories in my book about it. You need to look at that. You need to look at the history. Is it important? Absolutely. Is it exactly the same as today? Absolutely not, because there weren't even, there wasn't even computers back then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a big difference. So there are a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. But I think the big thing that Andrew said was how everything is so overpriced. Mm-hmm. That's where the correction comes in. I mean, and I think it's going to be a major correction to try to get pricing back in order, because right now pricing is just completely crazy. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Look at Bitcoin. That's backed up by nothing. Right. Nothing. All these cryptos are backed up basically by nothing. That's an awfully big gamble with your retirement. If you're in your 20s or 30s, I get it. Maybe even your early 40s, I get it. If you're in retirement and you're gambling your retirement savings on something that's overpriced, on something that, we're almost 100 years later, what's going to happen in 2029? Are you ready? Because, whatever happens, you need to make sure you're ready. Again, I'm going to push that button, make a plan. I'm going to get the button. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. It's happening. I am. And we're just during the show every week. I'm going to at least push it at least once. Yep. Make a plan. Yeah.
There you go. Well, if you are wondering what kind of parallels you can take away from obviously the big market crash of 1929, and you'd like to start making a plan, push the button once more for me, Tim. You want to start making that plan. It all starts with one phone call to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. 800-913-SAFE. Again, 800-913-7233, or online once again, it's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, before we leave and before we are out of time this weekend, my friend, as always, I want to leave the floor all yours for the final word. And I will say, I can't wait for the merchandising opportunities for this Tim Wood Make a Plan button. I'm very excited for this.
We absolutely could sell those. I think we should. Yes. Coming soon to a store near you. Okay. So, great show. Thanks, Kevin. Hope everyone enjoyed the show. Just to wrap up real quick, what we just spoke about in the second half of the show, basically that the market is at risk. That's kind of the whole synopsis of this second half of the show is the earnings. We talked about the earnings, and then we talked about, the Great Depression and all that stuff. All of that is talking about market risk. Super important. Make a plan. Make sure you're prepared. But I want to go all the way back to the first thing we talked about real briefly, and that is Social Security. Are you really going to just wait for the government to fix it for you? I mean, seriously, is that your plan? That's an awfully dangerous plan, people. You need to make sure that you have some sort of a plan, because if they don't plug that hole, and if Social Security does go down by between 20 and 25% in 2022 or 2023, and it was 2023 and then it went to 2022, what's it going to be next year? 2021, and then the year after, before you know it, we're there. So let's make a plan. Let's make sure you're ready. Let's make sure if Social Security does get cut, let's make sure you've got a way to replace that. And the sooner we get that plan going, the less we can put in to accomplish that, because you're going to get that guaranteed roll up. So the sooner we can do it, it's going to be a whole lot better doing it now than waiting to do it till 2032, because you would have had that 4, 5, 6 years of roll up. That's a big deal. I mean, compounded interest makes a huge deal. So make sure you're ready. All we want to do is make sure you have your own Safe Money Retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.